For joining us.
Thank you.
This is Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for January 9th. The Senate Energy Committee passed a bill today approving the Keystone XL pipeline. With a margin of 13-9, all Republicans on the committee and one Democrat, Virginia's Joe Manchin, voted for the measure. The pipeline would deliver oil from Alberta, Canada to refineries across the United States. The House will vote on its own version of the bill tomorrow, and once their version passes, it will go back to the Senate for debate. President Obama has vowed to veto the bill. Alaska Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski said the veto threat should not dissuade Republicans and chided the Obama administration for standing in the way. The Senate would need 67 votes to override any presidential veto, and there may be enough Democrats to reach that number. But House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi said Democrats would uphold any veto. California Senator Barbara Boxer is retiring after spending 2 decades in the Senate. In a video, Boxer says she is proud of her progressive record and that she is not going to retire because her work is too important. She simply will not seek re-election for the Senate in 2016. Boxer also said it's critical to keep the seat in progressive hands. California Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom, California Attorney General Kamala Harris, and former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa are a few of the names Democrats are circling as possible replacements for Boxer. Former California GOP Chair Tom Del Belcario is also considering a run. President Obama is coming under fire for his recent trip to Phoenix, Arizona, after his motorcade twice drove past the Phoenix VA hospital that was at the center of the VA waiting list scandal. Veterans groups and Senator John McCain had asked the president to go and show support for the military by stopping at the VA hospital. But President Obama said in advance he had other things to do, including visit former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. The president also gave a speech on the economy at a local high school before leaving the state. And a woman in San Diego got the fright of her life when she tried to unclog the office toilet with a plunger. Instead of fixing the plumbing problem, Stephanie LaCasa found a snake. Terrified, LaCasa ran to get her office partner, and the two women taped the bathroom door shut before calling the San Diego Department of Animal Services. They retrieved the snake and identified it as a Colombian boa constrictor. Officials believe it is someone's pet and took it to a vet in hopes of finding its owner. This is Amy Curtis with your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for January 9th.
Hi, welcome back to the show. This is The Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Hausum. You know what we should have done, Miller, is we should have had Jen stay on a little bit longer.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe not.
No. I mean, if she's listening, Jen, I didn't mean it that way. I mean, because we just have this thing usually, some guests 15, 20 minutes, and then others we go for the half hour. I do think, and Jen, if you're listening, you know how I am. But I think maybe we need a little orientation program. Maybe, I don't know, just maybe half hour or whatever before guests come on, so that they can kind of get up to speed with what smartasses we are. Because clearly, when we're wanting to talk about the true tenant thing, I think we had to explain ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm really surprised because Jen's one of the biggest smartasses I've ever met.
See, I mean, people, listen, if you've been on the show, you're going to be on the show. You got to fasten your seatbelt and just get on board with these knuckleheads, because that's who we are and that's what we do.
Exactly. And you know what, Mike, and this may be an important point just as kind of a concept for the radio show to make for people that are listening. We share the opinion, you and I, that having fun and humor and lighthearted discussion of what are in some cases unbelievably somber, serious topics,
right,
is a way to engage people, is a way to make it interesting, and it's the way that we deal with this kind of stuff in our own lives, frankly.
There's no question. Maybe I've told you this before, but when I was in the financial services industry, I went to these big seminars, and you're talking about asset allocation and negative correlation and all kinds of like real stuff as it relates to investing and what have you. But I used humor in that, and I didn't think there were probably a lot of people in Indianapolis that were making people laugh while they were talking about this stuff. But you're exactly right. When you can be a bit light, appropriately, obviously, and you can use a bit of humor, you attract people's ear.
Right. And here's the thing, is that part of what I know that we want to do is that we're not attempting just to make those in the choir feel good about the songs that we all sing. One of the things that I'm interested in doing, in addition to creating discussion and informing people as well as entertaining them, but also to convert those that are I'm not going to convert the leftists, but I'm going to convert those, or attempt to try to do so, at least to think, if not to come to our side, those that are sitting on the fence, or are maybe not even on the fence at all. They just don't even give a crap about this stuff, and it's not even, oh my gosh, politics is so interesting, I don't even pay any attention to it.
I mean, part of what you just said in different contexts, but at least to think, right? To take some folks, yes, we're not going to convert left-wingers any more than left-wingers are going to convert right-wingers. And you and I understand that. But I think to maybe just get people to think, you and I talk a lot about, the difference between emotion and fact, the difference between pretending that the world exists in this kind of utopian thing where if we be in the United States or just do what we do, then everybody will love us and leave us alone. To get people to think about facts, because as dopey as you and I can be sometimes on purpose, and I say that actually as a compliment, I think that we generally know what we're talking about, and it's based on we're both geeks. We pay attention to this stuff. We quote facts. We quote history. We use a bit of logic. And I think that you're exactly right. If people can listen and say, wait a minute, these guys aren't, they're not railing at me like some right-wing nut job. They might be a tad different. And if we could just keep it, listen, I even have a couple, as I'm saying this, I have 3 people that come to mind just this last week that said, I'm not probably going to convert to, I'm not going to become a Republican, but you're making me think. And what you're saying is exactly right.
Right. And it's, just kind of what we did. We've almost pushed too far on the redoubling of the effort to explain the true tenet of Islam thing. I don't think we're there yet. I think it could use a little bit more agitation before we need to move on. But what better way to make people think about and to consider the implications of that kind of phraseology?
Right.
In just an unbelievably sarcastic mocking and exposure of the absurdity of the thinking of there.
See, and I think about that sometimes, when, somebody maybe just tunes in, or someone without a sense of humor. A couple of people come to mind as I say that are like, they don't get it, that they think that, whatever we're happening to be satirical about or being smartasses about to make a point that, dude, do these people really believe that way? So, no, I think all of the above is true. And I think, again, as we've said, folks, this is what's different about our show. And I think if you like it, tell other people about it. And heck, just throw up our podcast, on Facebook or wherever, because we like what we do. And you, obviously, if you listen, you do as well.
Speaking of that transition, you can follow us on Twitter at the Right Mics, or you can call in at 412-567-6879. How do you like this radio voice, Mike? Does it sound good?
I think you're sounding pretty good, man.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's move on. There's a few topics that we needed to discuss today, Mike. I'll go ahead and give you the opportunity to bring up the first one. Please proceed.
Well, here's what I'd like to talk to you about, because I think, again, here we go. But, listen, we've got free phones. We got free health care for some. federal tax refunds for some folks who don't even pay federal income tax. So Obama has a new proposal, and I know you're going to agree with it. But given everything that we, again, air quotes around we, that we already get free, Michael, why not free college for all as well?
Oh, I saw that, and you know what, man? Our mutual friend on Facebook, this was yesterday afternoon, within seconds of Obama making that announcement, he put up on Facebook. The comment was, "Yet another reason I'm proud for my 2 votes for this man." And so his point. He made several points in defense of it. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and bring them up, Mike, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to respond. Let's play a little bit of point counterpoint, okay?
Sure.
Number one, we are one of the only countries in the Western world that doesn't pay for this type of education. Number two, the return on investment for education for Americans will yield far greater gross domestic product increase as well as tax revenue than the costs themselves. Those are the 2 main arguments. And then also, this is the third one. We already pay for schooling through 12th grade. Why the arbitrary cutoff on 12th grade if we can't effectively educate them for 13th and 14th grades as well? So those are the 3 points. See if you can come up with counters to that, smart guy.
Go back to the first one.
The first one is we're one of the only Western countries that doesn't pay for this kind of junior college stuff.
Yeah, right. So, of course, he's primarily talking about the failed states of Europe. And how's that working out? Okay, it's cradle to grave everything. Everything is free. Listen. Wealth redistribution, and that is what this is all about. You know, whether it's about healthcare or in this case education, it doesn't work. It disincentivizes people, and point to a welfare state that has ever thrived for any period of time. So I think that argument is completely not. I think it's a non-starter. All right. The second one was return on investment of education.
Yeah.
I would like the empirical data that suggests, again, I mean, you had to tie it to the first answer, that you and I paying for someone to go to 2 years of community college, and that's what this is all about. You know what? When you don't invest in something, it's just like people, like spoiled kids that are given things, or somebody that's born on third base and thinks they hit a triple, and the late Lan Richards famously said way back in the day about H.W. Bush. There's no investment. There's no skin in the game. I think in a lot of cases, what's the commitment? I mean, when you read into this, okay, not only is it 2 years, you just have to keep a C-plus average. You get 2 years of free college at a community college. Listen, I kind of think through some of these things. Let's say this can be of any age, by the way. Okay, so you have an unemployed adult, right? Doesn't have a job, doesn't want a job. Thinks, oh, this is really cool. I can buy 2 more years of doing nothing on the taxpayer. So I'm going to go to community college. I just got to keep a C-plus average. They can even go part-time. And, because I'm not employed, and it's legitimate that I'm not employed because I'm a student, then I can probably still get food stamps, SNAP, maybe other forms of welfare check or whatever have you. So, yeah, show me the data. Okay, where's the beef? I don't buy that as well.
Right. Well, here's a couple things that I would add to that. Number one is, just as let me give the third point, and then I'll give you my responses.
Right.
The third point was we picked an arbitrary 12th grade ending for public education.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And obviously, because higher education does yield greater incomes, greater knowledge, greater social participation, less incarceration rates, more successful adults,